Hello and welcome to this Blender tutorial. This video gonna teach you how to shoot a lightning out from your fingertips, just like Palpatine. So let's jump right into it. First, you need to change your scene setting to enable bloom. Bloom setting is needed later when you use the emission shader. Now, go ahead and delete the cube, and then add a new plane. Go to the side view, rotate the plane by pressing R, and then hold down the Ctrl key and rotate it by 90 degrees. Click on the camera, open up the sidebar, and then set the X location to 0, Z location to 0, Z rotation to 0, and then X rotation to 90 degrees so that the camera is directly facing the plane. Zoom into the camera by pressing the small camera icon on the side. After that, click on the output properties and change the X resolution to 1080p and Y resolution to 1920p. The frame rate need to set to 30 frames per second. Now go ahead and size up your plane. By selecting the plane, press S and scale it up. To load the videos onto the plane, you need to give the plane a new material. You can do that by clicking Material Properties on the bottom right, and then click on the New. After that, change the Principal BSDF by clicking on it, and then change it to Emission Shader. Now, go to the Shading tab, and then switch to the Render Viewport. You can zoom in to the camera view by clicking the small camera icon on the right. If you notice the plane is in purple, means that the emission shader is not correctly connected to the output. What you can do right now is to disconnect the emission shader and then reconnect back so that Blender can refresh it. You may need to do this a couple of times so that it can properly refresh and show a white color on the plane. Now click Add, go to Texture and add an image texture. After that, go to your image texture, click Open, and then open your video files. You can connect the color output of your image texture into the color input of your emission shader. Now you can see the video. Now click Add and click Search and search for texture coordinate. Connect your window output from your texture coordinate into the vector input of your image texture. Go to your image texture to enable the auto refresh. And then change repeat into clip. After that, change the numbers of frame rate by changing frames to a much higher number. Now you can rename your material into material.video. Now go back to the Layout tab and hit spacebar to play the video. Once the video stops, you know that that is the very last frame. You can click and drag on the edge of the bottom panel and then click on the marker to see where exactly is the last frame. Once you find the last frame, go to Output Properties and then change the end to that very last frame. Now, I try to create a light effect when the lightning is shooting out from my hand. So I use the arc welding as a reference to see how the light effects gonna look like. As you can see here in this video, the light itself coming from the arc welding is actually very intense and hit upon the face on the welder. Now click the camera icon to exit the camera view. Select the light, click X to go to the side view, press G and move the light to the middle. And then click Z to the top view and press G again to move the light to the middle again. Go back to the camera view, click on the light property and click the white color and change the color into a slightly bluish hue. And then click on the number again to change the power from 1000 to 20,000. Right now you should be able to see the light casting on the plane itself, but there is no light, so we have to fix it. Now go back to the Shading tab, switch to Render Viewport, click on the plane, and then click Add, go to Shader and add a diffuse shader. Now connect your color output from your image texture into your diffuse shader, and then connect the output of your diffuse shader into the surface of your material output. Now you should be able to see the light casting upon the plane. So you can move to the right panel to select the object and click on the eye icon to close the light. So there's another problem. When you are using diffuse shader, when you turn off the light, it's actually very dark. What you can do right now is to add a mix shader. So click on add, go to shader and click on mix shader. Connect the output of both your diffuse shader as well as the emission shader into the input of mix shader. After that, change the strength inside your emission shader from 1 to 2. Now you can see it much brighter compared to previously, and you still can see the light casting upon the plane. Now let's go back to the layout tab. Turn on the light, click the light, press G and move the light around. As you can see here, intensity of the light itself is very uniform across the body and the wall at the back. Because the light source is actually closer to the body, what we want to create is the effect where the body catch more light while the wall at the back catch less light. Now click on your mouse wheel and move out of camera view. Click on your plane and press Shift D to duplicate and right click. Press G and then press Y to move on the Y axis and move the plane slightly nearer to the camera. After that, click the other plane at the back and move it slightly further away from the first plane. Now switch back to the camera view. Scale the first plane smaller and then scale the second plane larger. After that, let's do a little bit housekeeping by renaming the second plane as wall and the first plane as the body. Create a new collection, name it object, and move these two objects into the folder. Now select back the body, click S and then click X to scale only on the X-axis so that the size of the plane is almost equal to the camera. You can switch to edit mode by clicking the top left menu or simply pressing tab on your keyboard. Select the knife tools, left click, move here and left click again, move to the top and left click again. If you want to confirm the place you want to cut, just press spacebar. To cancel, just right click. After that, do the same on the other side and another cut on the top side. Click on box select, click on face select, select the cut section, hold down shift and select the other two cut section and press X and delete faces. Select your light and press G. When you move the light around, you should be able to see there are more light on the body and less light on the wall, as well as there is a shadow from your body to the wall. Now, select back the body. Go to frame 40 on the timeline marker because this is the frame where I start to shoot the lightning. Tap into edit mode. Select the knife tool and start to trim out the edge of the body. Now, you still can see some hard edges here. What we want to do is to create a gradient where the light will fall off. Now hold down your mouse wheel and move out from the camera view. Select your body, change it to solid viewport. tap into Edit Mode, press E and extrude out. After that, change to Vertex Select, click Bevel, and hold the yellow handle to bevel out slightly. Be careful when you bevel out. If you see some artifact, then you may have to reduce the beveling a little bit. Once you're done, bevel, just left click. After that, go to the option on the bottom, give it 10 segment. You may also want to change the offset to see fit. Now, zoom back into the camera view and turn to render viewport. Now you should be able to see a much smoother light and shadow gradient along the edge. As the light source is actually coming from the hand, let's add another layer for the hand. But instead of adding a flat plane, let's add a 3D model to make the light and shadow effect more realistic. What I got here is a full character from my previous project, but I don't really need the entire character, I just need the arm. So click on both the character and the bones and copy. Go back to my current project, exit from camera view, change to solid viewport, and paste both the character and the bone. Hide the body and the wall by clicking the eye icon. Zoom into your character, select the body of the character, and tap into Edit Mode. Zoom into the area near the arm. Hold down Alternate key and click on one of the vertices to select the entire loop. Press X and delete the vertices. Now, move your mouse cursor near to the body and press L. This will select the vertices connected to the body and go ahead and delete them. Do the same for all the other objects so that you're left with the arm only. After that, switch back into object mode, select the bone and tap into Edit Mode and click on those bones to delete them and left only with the right arm bone and the right finger bone. Let's rename the character into hand. Now click on the hand and then hold down Shift and left click on the bone. Press Ctrl P and parent it with automatic weight. Now you can unhide both the body and the wall. Press G and move it, and then turn to the front view, press G and move it again. After that, press S to scale it up and put it into the position where it's aligned to your body. And one more thing we need to do is to change the material, delete whichever you have, and change it to material.video. Now select the bone, go to pose mode, and left click on the arm as well so that you can see the outline of the arm. Start to rotate it and move it so that the entire arm is fit into the video. You may want to turn the camera view around so that it can fit nicely. Click on the bone, go to the properties of the bone. Now you can change the type of the bone to stick so that it is easier to see. Now zoom back into the camera view and click on the hand. Right now you can see at frame 40, the shape of the 3D model is fit to the hand in the video nicely. Now select back the bone, go to pose mode, press I to insert a keyframe. This will record down the first keyframe at frame 40 and we will start to animate the hand slightly to follow the video movement. Now turn the light back on, select the light and press G to move around. Now you can see the hand is very bright as compared to the body and the wall. And you can also see a nice shadow from the hand to the body as well. To make the light looks more like it is coming out from the lightning, let's add a random movement as well as flickering effect to it. Now select the light, press Shift S and set the 3D cursor to the selected object. Now add a plane. Select the plane and tap into Edit Mode. Press M to merge and merge all 4 vertices into a single vertices because we only need one vertices for the light to parent to. After that, add a Displace modifier to the vertices. Rename it to Displace X. Click the new texture and name it a Light X. And then set it to X direction. Now go to the texture properties, select a Voronoi texture and come back to the modifier. Now exit the camera view. Hold down Shift and right click on the side. This will place a 3D cursor on the side. After that, add an empty. Move both the empty and the vertices into the same folder as the light. Rename the empty as light displays and rename the vertices as light controller. Now go back to the displays modifier. Click on the texture coordinate, change the object, and select the object as light displays. First click your light, hold down shift and click the light controller, which is your vertices. Press Ctrl P and parent it to the vertex. Now you can see that when you move your empty, you can see the light and your vertices moving together in a random way. Now, move your mouse cursor to the edge of the window until you see a cross. Click and hold down to create a new window. Change the window setting into a graph editor. Click your empty, press I to insert a keyframe for location. Now you can see all XYZ location appear in the graph editor. Delete the X and Y location, left only Z location. Bring up the toolbar on the side, go to the modifier and add a generator. Change the number from 1 to -1 on the X. Now select your light and press spacebar. Your light and vertices can now move randomly on each frame. Go back to frame 40 again. Click on your light controller and add another displays modifier. This time, name it to displays Z, change the direction to Z, and add a texture and call it light Z. Go to the texture property, select light Z, change it to a Voronoi texture as well. You can change the intensity as well as the feature weight to make it more random. Come back to your displays modifier, change the texture of coordinate to object and select light displays. When you press spacebar, you should be able to see the light is moving on X and Z location. You can also change the weight of the light displacement to see fit. For me, I just set it to 0.6 for both displays modifier. Now, set the power back to 10,000. Move the cursor over the power and press I to insert a keyframe. And then go back to frame 39, set the power to 0, and insert the keyframe again. Bring up a new window, change it to a graph editor. Open the power, bring up the sidebar, go to the modifier. Add a noise. Set the string to 50,000. Set the start frame to 40 and end frame to 105. Add another modifier. Set the minimum to 0 so that it won't go into the negative range. Go to frame 1, press spacebar. Now you can see from frame 1 to frame 39 there is no light because the lightning will start to shoot at frame 40. So this is where the light will start. And with the noise goes into the power, you will also see the flickering effects of the light. The lightning that I am trying to create is coming from this scene, where Palpatine shooting a lot of lightning arc from his hand. Each lightning arc is very bright in the very beginning, and then the brightness diminishes over time. If you look at this actual lightning footage, you can also see the same thing. And another observation is that the lightning arc itself did not move at all. Let's add another collection and rename it as lightning. Turn your viewport to solid mode. Hold down shift and right click on one of the fingers so that the 3D cursor is set to that finger. Add a new plane. Select the plane, tap into edit mode, press M to merge into one single vertices. Zoom to top view. Press G and move it out slightly. Press E to extrude the vertices. Press E again to extrude the vertices to the end of the camera. Select the vertices in the middle and move it up a little bit. Change the side view and move the end point slightly nearer to the camera. Press A to select all the vertices. Right click and subdivide so that you have more vertices to work with. Now select the one in the middle, hold down Ctrl key and left click the last vertices and give it 2 more subdivide. Now you have plenty of vertices to work with. Zoom back into the camera view, right click and randomize all these vertices. Bring up the menu on the side and then change it to maybe 0.04 or 0.05 for the amount of randomization. Now you can see the vertices look more like a lightning arc. Rename the plane to lightning. Now go back to the object mode. Click on object, scroll it down, convert it to a curve. Once you convert to a curve, you will see a new curve property icon and click on it. Now we need to bring up the dope sheet. Expand the bottom timeline. Go to the edge and open up the new window and change it to a dope sheet. Go to the curve properties, expand geometry. At the bevel, set it to 0.02. Press I to insert a keyframe. Go back 1 frame, set it to 0, and press I again to insert another keyframe. Now, let's go to frame 60, change it to 0 again, and press I to insert another keyframe. Click on the small triangle on the left of the dope sheet. Now you can see the summary, expand everything out. Now you can see the actual item that is being captured in the keyframe is the bevel. Change the slide bar at the bottom so that it fits into 0 to 100. After that, press spacebar. Now you can see the size of the arc itself will increase on frame 40 and then slowly diminish to frame 60. Click on Material, click on New. Change the Principal BSDF to Emission Shader. Change the color to a slightly bluish hue. Go to frame 40, set the strength to 50, move the cursor to the strength and press I to give it a keyframe. Go back 1 frame, set it to 1, and press I again and give it another keyframe. Now go to maybe about frame 55, set it to 1 again, and give it another keyframe. Right now, bring up a new Windows, change it to a graph editor. Expand the menu out, and only click on the emission strength. Click on the sidebar, go to the modifier, add a noise modifier. Set the strength to 100. Set the start frame to 40 and the end frame to 65. Add another modifier, which is a limit. For the minimum Y, enable it and give it a 1. Now come back to your 3D viewport. Go to an earlier frame, press spacebar to see how the lightning looks like. Try to turn off the light. Go to frame 30, press spacebar again to see it more clearly. Let's change the material name to material.lightning1. Scroll down and change the shadow mode into none. This is very important because the lightning itself should be emitting light, and when the light hits on it, there should not be any shadow. Now go ahead and close the graph editor. Go into the solid viewport, click on the first lightning, press Shift D to duplicate. Go to the modifier, add a smooth modifier. Change the values to more than -1 or more than 1 so that it will make the lightning arc looks different. And after that, click Apply. Tap into Edit mode. Make sure you turn on Proportional Editing. Select the first vertices and move it to another finger. Now select the 3 keyframe for the bevel depth and drag it to a 1 frame higher. What I'm trying to do here is to have the lightning shoot out from the finger 1 frame at a time for each different fingers. Now go back to Object mode, turn into Render Viewport, go to an earlier frame, hit spacebar and see how the lightning goes. After that, do the same for 3 more fingers. And remember to increase the bevel depth for each and every finger so that every frame there will be 1 new lightning shooting out. I will speed up this part because it is just a repeating process. When all the 5 lightning is created, go back to Render Viewport, go to earlier frame, Press spacebar to see how it looks like. Now let's hide all the lightning. Select your bone, go to frame 40, and go to pose mode. Click on the hand as well so that you can see the outline of the hand, and turn on the light. Enable auto keying. Move to the next frame. As you can see, the hand in the video needs to be aligned with the 3D hand model for frame 41. So let's adjust the bone so that it is aligned better. This is needed because when I'm capturing this video, I do not put any marker on my finger. If there is a marker, this can easily be done by using motion capture feature inside Blender. Continue to do so for frame 42, 43, and 44. Once you are done, go to the body, go back to frame 40, insert a keyframe. After that, go to frame 44, move the body accordingly and insert another keyframe. Now, let's create the second set of lightning from frame 45 to frame 49. Basically, the duplication process is the same. The only thing you need to add is to add a new emission material for the lightning. Now, when you duplicate the new lightning, click the minus sign to delete the old material. After that, click on to give it a new material, rename it material.lightning and give it a new number. The same process, change it to an emission shader and change it to a bluish hue. Try to disconnect and reconnect again if it is showing a purple. After that, you need to set the power to the same value, which is 50. Give it a keyframe at frame 45. Go back one frame earlier. Set it to 1. Give it a keyframe again. And this time, set it to frame 60 to give it another keyframe. You may want to align the new lightning to start at frame 45 as well. Now, bring up the graph editor and click only on the strength of the emission shader. Give it 100. Set the frame from 45 to 70. Add another modifier, which is a limit. Click the minimum Y and set it to 1. Now, to give it a randomization, change the scale to either 1.1 or 0.9. And the last thing you need to do is to make sure the shadow mode is none. Basically, the duplication process for every 5 frames will be the same, where we will need to give a new material for the lightning, as well as aligning the body and the hand into the keyframe, and continue to repeat the process until the last frame. Now I got all the lightning created, as well as the arm is aligned to the video and the body is aligned to the video. The next step is to render into a video. So go to the output properties, change the start frame and end frame to whichever you like. Here I just change it to 10 from the start frame and the end frame is 94. Now click on the plus sign and go to a video editing tab. Change your file format to FFmpeg video. Open up the encoding, change the encoding to MPEG-4, set it to medium quality, and make sure you set the audio to MP3 and move it to frame 40 again. Click add and add a noise. Here I got this high voltage sound effect that I would like to add. After you add it in, display the waveform and move the sound to 3 frames earlier so that it aligns to frame 40 where it start to shoot the lightning. When everything is set, just press render and render animation. Let's watch the video again one more time. And that's it. This is a tutorial using Blender to shoot lightning like Palpatine. Hope you like this video and thank you for watching.